Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. This is Sean Speaks with Up Talk My Life podcast, and I have a special edition with special people. I am here with the Facebook group Restore Eudora, community-owned grocery store, and this is their first town hall meeting to discuss revitalizing their community. They are putting what they think and believe into action, and they are joining together to do something about their community, to fix whatever problems that they believe or feel need fixing. They know that they can do it. And I am so glad that they are allowing me to host this town hall on this platform. So I want to just say thank you, and thank you. Now, the masterminds, right? And I love to connect with masterminds. The masterminds behind this is Terrence, Drew, Otis Jones, and Sam. I don't think I ever got your last name. Unmute
Johnson.
yourself. Let me unmute you. Okay, Sam, you're unmute.
We can't hear you, Sam.
Hold on, Sam. I can unmute you. I gotta get to you though. Let's see. All right, Sam.
Yeah.
There you go.
Samuel Johnson.
Samuel Johnson. Sorry about that, Sam.
You good?
All right.
Sam, call me Sam all my life.
And then, and also Joanna Scott. These are the four masterminds behind the Restore Eudora, and I'm just glad to be a part of this. And so I'm going to be more of a moderator, more of you can, and definitely if you have questions, I love to answer questions. As you could tell, I like to run my mouth. But I'm going to turn it over to Terrence so that we can get started, and then we'll go from there. Terrence?
Yeah, you're going to give me the presentation now, or you want to just start the video?
Okay, you want to just go right into the video?
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second.
You know, as I stepped upon the grounds of this hollow building, my mind went to wondering about all the grocery stores and small business that once was here in the city of Eudora. And now we walk up and down the halls of this building where it's just a vacant building, nothing here. And my mind just thinks about Eudora and Eudora people. I just believe that we can do better. I believe that we can get together, work together, and revitalize our community. And we can start with this building right here. We can take this building, take a portion of it, and make it a community-owned grocery store. Take a portion of it and put 2 or 3 other businesses within here. You'll see the community start coming back. And then there's plans to do other things within the community that will bring back small town entrepreneurs. People will once again own their own businesses in this community of Eudora. And once we do that and we start to working together, buying from one another, shopping here in our community, we'll see this town come back. And I know you are looking forward to the day when the town that you grew up in come back and once again be a bustling community in Southeast Arkansas. And Eudora can be just that town. Eudora have all of the parts that it needs. We just need to come together as people and work together and make it happen. So let's make this happen. Let's get together, together as a community of people, buy this store, revitalize this store, and then start making our community come back again. I want you to get on board and let's do it, Eudora. We can do it. All we got to do is work together. Once people work together, you'll be surprised the things that can happen. Thank you.
All right, can everybody see that screen, the outline?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first thing we want to do is we're going to have Sam bring us up to speed on kind of where we are with the purchase of the store, and then we want to hear from Tony Washington, who is one of the entrepreneurs in Eudora. He actually, from a conversation I had with Tony, he actually looked at perhaps buying the store. So I want Tony to share some information.
Amazing. How are you? I am amazing.
I want Tony to share some information with the group on his assessment of the project, what we're doing from a business owner or from an investor standpoint. So go ahead, Sam, if you will, just kind of bring us up to speed on where we are with the purchase. You got to get unmuted.
You can okay. You can unmute yourself. Okay, hold on. There you go, Sam.
Thank you. For some reason, I can't unmute it here.
That's okay. That's okay.
Again, we'd like to just say thanks to everybody that's on this call. We'd like to just bring you up to date where we're at. We've had several meetings with Mr. Mills, the owner of the Sunflower Food Store. And we've come to an agreement with him of a purchase price. We would love to say to you today that we've signed the agreement, but it looks like it will be Monday or Tuesday before we'll be able to sign the agreement. We had a young lady attorney that's been working with our legal assistants, and she, for some reason, wanted to add something onto us that we was not in agreement to pay for. So we had to go back and get him to take that out of the agreement. So she struck that out of the agreement. So we've agreed that we will purchase the building for $100,000. You know, he wanted 180, but we negotiated with him and we brought that price down to 100,000. So we're now just looking forward to going on and signing the agreement saying that we're willing to pay you 100,000 once we do all the things that we need to do as a community, get this thing, get the money raised to buy the building. So we're in that process, and that's what we're doing here. We're trying to bring everybody up to where we need to do so we can get our crowd together, so we can get the people of Eudora ready to get together, work together, and purchase this building. But we're there. We really worked it, and we're right there at that point that the project is getting ready to take off. And I know that everybody's ready to see this project take off, and that's what we're excited about, making it happen. And we can make it happen if we just willing to work together. And I think everybody that's been contacting those that have assisted us to this point to make sure that these things happen that's going on, that we could be ready to pay Mr. Mill the earnest money that we need to pay him to get started. We've had lights turn on. If you live here in the city of Eudora, you can see the lights on. So we can go in and do things that needs to be done in the building. Kind of get a valuation of the size of the building, what we need to do for renovation. So we're moving forward. We just need to get started with our fundraising. So I'm gonna leave that at that. That's where we're at right now. We're in a good position. We just need to get ready to do it. So now get ready for Mr. Tony Washington.
So Tony, what I wanted you to do, I know you mentioned that you had taken a look at perhaps buying the store yourself, and I just kind of wanted to get your assessment of what you thought about it as a potential deal. What do you think about what we're trying to do?
So, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I want to say first, I commend you guys for all the great work that's done thus far. With the, a lot of you guys I know, most of y'all are my family, to be honest with you, but I'm very, very just happy to see what's going on. And one who I have not officially lived in Eudora for a very long time. I have been one of the ones that have come back, and I've not just started one business, but I think if I count it up, I think it's been 5 businesses that are actively going today in the city of Eudora that are actually thriving. And I'm going to piggyback off something that Sam said. You know, in order for any business in Eudora to be successful, you have to have the community behind you. And is the economy good enough or at a state where it can actually support a business? And in my opinion, and just having a much smaller scale of what you guys are trying to do here with the old Sunflower building, I think you're going to be extremely successful. I did take a look at the building and evaluated, what it would take, at least from my perspective, in order to make things happen. And I'll be honest with you, there were some challenges, but I don't think I need to reiterate something that you guys probably already know. One, you have a building that requires a lot of work, a lot of maintenance, a lot of upgrading. From a structure perspective, the electrical work, the electrical in there required, honestly, I think it needed to be completely rewired. And then the other thing that I think a lot of the equipment in there required a lot of upgrading, to be honest with you, on that as well. And then I think the other thing that kind of threw me off, based on my evaluation of, I call it small town grocery stores, the size of the store was a little bit too large for the number of people that we had in the city. But one of the good things that I can tell you, that in order for this business to thrive, and this is just my 2 cents, you guys can take it for what it's worth, your business can't just be citizens of Eudora. I think we have to, in order for this to be successful, you have to thrive and pull from citizens from other cities, surrounding cities of Eudora. I'll say like Village, Kilbert, Parkdale, Wilmar, all those different areas. And the only way to get folks to come to your city to purchase those things is you got to have something that's compelling. And what that is, that can be pricing, that can be your merchandise, the quality of merchandise that you have. But I know, again, I'm preaching to the choir, and you guys know a lot of that stuff as well. The other challenge that I saw was the purchase price. And based on what I just heard, you guys have done an amazing job of negotiating that price down to a level that's sufficient. At least I think it's sufficient for the size of the building that you're getting. That's one piece. And I think the last one that I'll probably touch on is the requirements needed in order to secure an agreement with a distributor. And I was looking at anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 as more of a base payment, more like a deposit. And then I guess on top of that, what it would take to actually pan out and put the product in that store. So, and just the guesstimate that I had put together, and this was based on some other research I did, it was going to take anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000 to, at least get the products in the store. So, but again, like I said, this is not anything that I think is news to any of you guys that's been working on this for quite some time. I think you got to really sound like you got a really solid plan in place, and you're doing the right thing to kind of raise the capital. My commitment, I think I was told that you guys were asking the citizens of Eudora to try to contribute at least $500. You guys have
at this time, we're not discussing anything regarding how much we're wanting any specific person to contribute. This is really just for informational purposes only.
I'm not part of it. So all I'm saying is whatever you need from me, you'll have my contribution. I have nothing to do with that. So yeah, I do understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not speaking for the group. I'm speaking for Tony Washington.
Gotcha.
So I just want to be clear. No one has asked me to ask anybody for anything. I'm just saying.
No, Tony, there's a legal reason. She's an attorney, so there's a legal reason why on this podcast, especially since we're recording it, there's a legal reason why we're not going to talk about. Understood,
and I respect that.
Okay.
Keep going, Tony. I didn't mean to cut you off. The legal part of me just came out like, oh, let's keep it. Yes, I apologize.
I didn't get that disclaimer, but I will most definitely respect it. So
we appreciate it.
No, I guess my point is that, look, I mean, for this type of business, I have something at a much smaller scale that I do not believe is from a store perspective that's not sufficient for the demographics that this store will be catering to. And I think what's being done is most definitely the right thing to do for the community. I think when you start looking at the 2,000 plus citizens of this town, I think they would very much appreciate having a store in place that they can easily get to without having to travel, 20, 30 miles out of the way.
Hey, with that said, Tony, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think this would be a good time for any resident that lives in Eudora to just share what your experience has been like not having a local grocery store that you can go to buy your groceries.
Good idea, Terrence. I think that's a very good idea. Anyone that lives in Eudora that wants to unmute themselves and just kind of talk about their experience of not having a grocery store in their area, please take this time now to unmute yourself so that you can discuss it. And as you're doing that, I know that Terrence brought to my attention a term that I had actually not heard. And if I did hear it, I didn't pay much attention to it. Terrence, remember you told me about the term food desert.
Yeah.
And so that really interested me. So until someone unmutes themselves to speak about their experience, could you explain to us, Terrence, what a food desert is?
Well, a food desert is literally you live in a community that does not have a local grocery store that you can just readily go to buy your quality food products. All the way back from the time when President Obama was president, that was one of the initiatives that Michelle Obama took up. And she began to champion that there needed to be something that the government would do to help communities that did not have a local grocery store that they could go to. And so there's capital money that's been put into the USDA that actually has been put, that money is available to communities that do not have a local grocery store. So that's food desert. I mean, this has been an issue in this country for years, and it's getting worse. One of the things I learned real quick, typically when a community loses its grocery store, Sean,
Mm-hmm.
it takes 10 plus years if they ever get a grocery store again.
Wow.
It's that serious.
Wow. Is there anyone that wants to share their experience of living in Eudora and not having a grocery store that's right up the street?
Well, I can say I don't live in Eudora, but I do look on Facebook, and one of the things that I saw on Facebook was a classmate of mine. How she was basically considering moving because she got tired of driving 15, 30 minutes, to Walmart, to a grocery store. And I'm sitting here looking at the post, and people are actually, telling her that she may want to consider moving. So, I think that was one of the things that, like, when you said something about it, that was the first thing that came to my mind of people actually moving because of that. I saw that one post, and I'm like, well, that's enough to cause a concern.
Wow. Wow. Anybody else? Hey, I'm sorry, would you identify yourself? Tell us your name.
So my name is Byron Burns, from Eudora, grew up there, graduated from Eudora High, class 2003.
And where do you currently live?
I currently live in Northwest Arkansas, the Springdale, Bentonville area.
Okay.
I left and went to school, went to UCA in Conway, and majored in computer science. Currently work at Walmart as one of their user experience product designer, where I work with the designer and also the developers.
Good morning.
Wow. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Okay, so y'all, this is the thing, right? So the whole point of restoring
Whenever somebody
restoring
to
the
break.
community. Okay, I'm gonna mute everyone until.
We'll just have to keep it up.
All right, can you hear me? All right, so the whole point in restoring the community is to basically get everybody involved so that everybody really will have sort of like an ownership in rebuilding the community the way that you want it to be rebuilt. And so one of the things that Terrence has done is put together a very good presentation about crowdfunding. And so what I want to ask the group is, who has heard of crowdfunding prior to right now? Okay, I've unmuted everybody. So who has heard of crowdfunding prior to today? You've heard of crowdfunding.
I've never heard of it before.
I'm sorry, speak up.
I've never heard of
Never heard of it. And what's your name, ma'am?
Irma Tony.
I can't, what? Say it
Irma
again.
Tony.
That's Pastor Irma Tony.
Pastor Irma Tony. Okay. So, Miss Tony, you've never heard of crowdfunding. Is there anybody else on the call that's never heard of crowdfunding?
Heard of crowdfunding.
What's your name?
Faye Moy.
Faye Moore. Okay. So you've never heard of crowdfunding. All right. So this is a good opportunity to, I'm gonna mute you back. All right, so I'm gonna explain real quick what crowdfunding is, and then I'm gonna show a video that Terrence found that I think is a really good sort of quick summary of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is something that actually took effect under President Obama's administration, okay? In 2012, President Obama signed what's called the Jobs Act. Okay, the formal name is the Jumpstart Our Business Startups. All right, part of this act went in effect in 2012, but another part of the act went into effect in 2016. And this is the part of the act where the merger of regular people, the crowd, being able to invest in companies that are not traded on the public market, okay? It used to be prior to the Jobs Act that if somebody was starting up a company, right? And I'm not saying a family member or friend, somebody that you know close to you, but let's take a Uber, right? Before Uber was Uber and trading on the market, Uber was just a startup company, right? It was a company that had an idea. Person started a business, had an idea, and they wanted to get investors. Okay. Well, if you wanted to really invest in a company like like Uber prior to it trading on the market, you would have to be what's called an accredited investor, right? And an accredited investor is someone that make either $200,000 plus or have $1 million in net value. Okay. So regular people, the crowd, we would not, first of all, we wouldn't know anything about the startup. And even if we did know about it, we wouldn't, most of us would not be allowed to invest in, let's say, an Uber, right? Now, if you would have gotten into Uber prior to Uber actually going public, a couple of $100s would have turned into multi-thousands of dollars, right? It would have just multiplied significantly just from investing just a few $100s. And so that's the power of crowdfunding, is that by having this Jobs Act come into effect, we as regular people will get an opportunity to invest in what we call startup companies. Okay. And so I'm going to show a little clip, a video clip of what crowdfunding is. Okay, so give me just a second. Let me just switch out of this, and then I'm going to add another video. And let me know if you cannot hear it. Terrence, kind of chime in if you can't actually hear it once I hit play.
Obama's Jobs Act in April 2012 ushered in crowdfunding as we know today. While this concept has arguably been around for centuries, it is still formally recognized as a new industry to many consumers, particularly those outside the United States. Crowdfunding is, by definition, the practice of funding a project or venture by raising many small investments of money from a large number of people, typically via the internet. Why crowdfunding developed? There was a seemingly non-stop global recession, and small businesses and real estate development projects were struggling more than ever to stay afloat, and entrepreneurs, small-scale developers, were facing terrible odds. Small businesses and real estate developers finding capital for expansion from the banking industry has been unfeasible for the last 7 years, and startups finding the needed funding in the more traditional venues of angel investors or VCs seems to be impossible. But in this financial environment, crowdfunding offers these individuals an increased probability of success by showcasing their businesses and projects to the entire world via the internet and social media. There are numerous crowdfunding platforms where consumers can safely invest or donate money. While each site offers its unique culture, the general concept is the same across the board. Project creators can create a profile typically containing a short video, an introduction to their project, a list of rewards or investments, and some text and images to elaborate. The idea is to create a compelling message that will resonate with the readers and they will invest or donate. The idea of "it's not what you do, but why you do it" is the message that drives crowdfunding. By focusing on a bigger purpose, the impact of a brand or project will be able to create a unique community of like-minded individuals. Each campaign is set for a goal, a publicly stated amount of money, and a fixed number of days. Once the project is launched, each day will be counted down and the money raised will be tallied up for visitors to follow its success. Instead of traditional investors, crowdfunding campaigns are funded by the general public. Typically, most successful projects receive about 25 to 40% of their revenue from their first, second, and third degree of connections. This could include friends, family, work acquaintances, or anyone that the owner is connected to, including their second and third degree connections. Once a project has seen some traction, unrelated consumers start coming out of the woodwork to support campaigns they believe in. There is a huge misconception that creating a successful crowdfunding campaign is as simple as hitting submit and waiting for it to go viral. While this has happened to many brands, the vast majority of projects require an immense amount of marketing and management skill and phenomenal effort on the part of the project creator. Utilizing social media, creating email distribution lists before the project launches, contacting local media are all necessary steps to take if you are serious about your goal. Remember, this is not a platform to ask for a handout. If you expect people to join your cause, you had better be prepared to prove your salt. For more information on crowdfunding in the Black community, please subscribe to Bill Houston YouTube channel.
All right, so that's sort of a little snippet of a video just about crowdfunding. And then I'm gonna. Sorry about that. Get out of that. All right. And so that's a video clip about crowdfunding, just to kind of give you a little snippet about what it is overall. Terrence, I'm gonna pull back up your presentation so you can kind of go through the different types of crowdfunding. Because even though I think most people here, or some of the people here may not have heard of crowdfunding, we engage in crowdfunding. We've been engaging in crowdfunding before that was a term. All right, so I'm gonna pull up your presentation. Just a second. All right, Terrence, I'm turning it over to you. I'm gonna let you control the.
Okay.
You got it?
I think I have it.
Okay.
So we'll come back, Sam, to our next steps at the very end, but we'll jump into the crowdfunding piece now. And what I want to start with is when you say we've actually been engaged in crowdfunding before, we probably, a lot of people probably know crowdfunding from GoFundMe. You know, I think our community's experience with crowdfunding has primarily been around we need to bury someone,
Yes.
right? So we've had somebody's had a death, and there weren't any burial arrangements made ahead of time, and the funeral home is requiring that you come up with this money before they're gonna, provide you with any services. So typically for our community, it's just not Eudora, I'm saying typically for the African American community at large, that's our use of crowdfunding. Somebody's gotten ill and they can't work. And so there's some kind of traumatic event that has happened. And that's when we have perhaps engaged in crowdfunding through that source, GoFundMe. Well, we'll have somebody go throw up a GoFundMe page, and then people that know that person or know of the situation will be the ones who would typically give. Now, having said that, I mean, you could still have, because one of the real strengths or the power, one of the powers of crowdfunding is you actually have the ability to take it global. So you could have somebody sitting in California who didn't know anything personally about that particular situation, but they would be so moved to perhaps give some money towards that campaign. And so that's really the power of it. However, our community has been very limited in how we have been able to truly take advantage of this resource. It's a very, very, very powerful resource. And so what I want to do is kind of look at briefly, why is it our community hasn't really maximized crowdfunding like maybe some other communities have been able to do. So the first example I want to show, it kind of highlights how limited crowdfunding really has been for our community. So the first one is, it's just a campaign where somebody set up a campaign to raise money for this particular issue. But what I wanted to highlight was, if you look at the amount of money that was raised, they raised $930 from 25 donors. Not a lot of money, not a lot of impact to me. And then the next one represents a campaign that a young man did who wanted to attend Howard University, and he wanted to raise some money to help pay for his expenses. And so in this campaign, which he's, as you can tell from the picture, he's excited about it, he was able to raise $12,000. Now, that to me, it's not a bad raise, meaning that if you're a college student, you're struggling to pay for your college, $12,000 could make an impact. So I'm not trying to minimize the benefit that this person would have gotten from crowdfunding, but when we get to some of the other campaigns from the other community, I wanted to be able to compare and contrast how other communities use crowdfunding versus kind of what we've been able to do on a very limited basis. So why is it that crowdfunding really hasn't taken off for us, even for business owners, for example? And as Sean alluded to with the Jobs Act, one of its main beneficiaries of the Jobs Act was supposed to be small business owners. But there was a study done in 2017 that showed, because of implicit bias that exists on a lot of those platforms, meaning that the people that you're looking to fund your campaign, a lot of times when they would find that the sponsor of those campaigns were African American, they would not contribute very much towards the campaigns.
And Terrence, point out the fact that implicit bias is because most of the people that are on these sites looking for somewhere to invest their $100 or their $25 or to donate their $100 or their $25 are not Black or African American, right?
That is the issue. And going back to the other examples that didn't get a whole lot of funding, it's because typically when we take projects to the crowdfunding world, we just don't have a big enough crowd. We don't have a big enough crowd that is willing to even drop $5, $10 to help with whatever that project is. And so that brings up the second point. I think a lot of it has to do too, Sean, with we as a group, we as a people, we just haven't been educated. A lot of people that never heard of the Jobs Act. Honestly, I probably didn't hear of the Jobs Act probably maybe less than a year ago, when I really got interested in crowdfunding from a business perspective. Meaning, over the years, I've had a number of businesses that I've started. I've been able to progress with them. But every one of them, I came up against a wall. I needed money. You need capital to grow a business. Any business owner, I don't care what color you are, will tell you that's the case. You will not grow a business without capital. Most of our businesses in our community, this is nationwide, most of our businesses have less than 5 employees. I'm saying 90% of the businesses in our community have less than 5 employees. Think about that. And the reason why is you need capital to scale a business. There's no way you will grow a business without capital. So I think that's why President Obama and his administration, they put that Jobs Act in place. And you know, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but President Obama takes a lot of heat from the African American community that he didn't do much for our community. And I think that could be debated. But one thing I will say he's put in, or his administration put in place that can be a game changer for our community is crowdfunding.
Absolutely, Terrence. I'm gonna have to piggyback on that with you, and I concur. You know, it could be debated whether, you know, whatever your thoughts may be about President Obama and what he may have done for the Black community specifically. But part of our issue is that we don't know what he has done. And he is definitely responsible for this Jobs Act going into effect. But it's up to us to know about it and to utilize what's available for us to do what it is that we're wanting to do in our communities. So yeah, so now our goal here is to actually put the word out so that, you know, everybody on here tell everybody that you may know about crowdfunding, so that so these platforms, and we're going to discuss, you know, what some of these platforms are, that we'll start, you know, going onto these platforms and looking at some of these you know, some of these campaigns that's being raised, so that we can start to participate and we can make very little money go a long way. And I think Terrence is about to show you that.
So one of the things that really kind of piqued my interest, I started noticing that anytime the other communities experience trauma, meaning there's an event that happens within the United States and there's a need to address that trauma. And so what I did was I actually went and pulled some of the more successful crowdfunding campaigns to deal with traumas that other communities experience. So the first one I wanted to highlight was it was the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund campaign. It was a GoFundMe campaign where, if y'all remember, back a couple years ago, there was a big thing going on in the country about the Me Too movement. Again, I'm not trying to say anything negative about any of these campaigns, other than to highlight how other communities are really leveraging crowdfunding in a powerful way. So if you take this example, this campaign raised $22 million. And a lot of the money was used to pay attorney fees for women who had been sexually harassed or had been assaulted by powerful, primarily Caucasian men. And so somebody went out, set up a crowdfunding campaign, and they raised $22 million. The next one you also may be familiar with is the mass shooting in Las Vegas, where there were concert goers at this event, and somebody from one of the hotels took a rifle and just started shooting the people that were at the concert. This campaign raised almost $12 million, and this was also back in 2017. And the monies are used to help the victims. The monies are used to, as I would term it, to deal with the trauma that's associated with some event that happened to their community. And then the last one is one that I really had to pause on this one a bit, Sean. I had to really take a moment and process what I was reading, right? So all of us are aware that one of 45's campaign initiatives that he touted when he was running, and it's just been something that they've been harping on at all his rallies, and that is build a wall. I don't know if you're all aware of this, but the U.S. government, Congress approved billions of dollars to provide Trump with money so he could fulfill this campaign promise and have billions of dollars that they could use towards the construction of a wall. Now, when I even heard about that, I thought about, that's billions of dollars. Our communities have been hurting for years. And they've never allocated billions of dollars to deal with any of the traumas that our community experiences. That's real.
That's real.
And so I saw, okay, now they've already given him billions of dollars, right? I'm gonna find the exact number, but I know it's billions of dollars to go towards the wall. But then we have some private citizens. These are some folks that you would probably find at Trump's rallies who said, hey, we're gonna throw up a GoFundMe campaign and we're gonna help this effort. We're gonna help get this wall built. So we're gonna go and throw a campaign up. In 2018, they put together a GoFundMe campaign and they raised, in the month of December of 2018, they raised $25 million. Not necessarily a trauma, but they probably see it as a trauma, meaning we got to keep these people out of the country. So private citizens, if you look, private citizens were giving $25, $5, $7, small amounts of money. But they had 250,000 donors that gave small amounts of money to get $25 million to construct a wall. Actually, that would probably never be built because the land that they're trying to build a wall on, a lot of land's private land. You can't come in and build a wall on somebody's land if they don't give you permission to do so. So anyway, I thought this example really highlighted the power of crowdfunding and how it could impact our community once we begin to learn about how powerful it is. And once we can start coming together as a community of people to pool our resources to affect our own change. And Sean, I like the fact over the past few weeks when you and I have been talking, how you voiced how important it is that we begin to take ownership of our own solutions.
Absolutely.
That we cannot rely on the government. We cannot rely on other communities to do what we can we can damn well do for ourselves. It's crazy. We in 2020 and we still waiting for somebody to come save us.
And I'll chime in there. I have this thing that I like to say that, I have a lot of people I can blame. We have a lot of people that we can blame as dark hue people, Black people, African American people, however you choose to identify yourself. But I'm tired of blaming, because blaming isn't giving me the results that I want. So I made a decision that I wanted to take responsibility, even for the things that I did not cause to myself. Because when I start to take responsibility, that's accepting that I have an ability to respond to my circumstance. And when I have an ability to respond to my circumstance, I'm empowered, right? Because I'm not allowing someone else to provide the solution. I am going to brainstorm the possible solutions and execute upon them. And that's what this is about. And that's what crowdfunding allows communities to do, specifically Black communities, right? It allows us to identify smaller communities that may or may not be able to do this by themselves. And we can go in and we are able to revitalize and bring back life and breath and joy and happiness and the hustle and the bustle and the busyness of entrepreneurs building something. Because the way the shift that's occurring right now is that you're not going to need a whole lot of real estate to do great business, right? But you're still going to need real estate to have business. And what you need is you need funding, you need capital, right? And we know that, unfortunately in this America, being an African American, sometimes it's not that easy to go into that bank and get a loan, right? But that's what made crowdfunding so amazing, because you can crowdfunding you have multiple ways of crowdfunding, right? Now we've been crowdfunding as Black people all our lives, right? The benefit at church to help Sammy Joe's mom out with whatever may be going on. That is a type of crowdfunding, and that still exists. That's a crowdfunding. That's your GoFundMe. That's your donation-based crowdfunding. Then there's other types of crowdfunding where you can have rewards-based crowdfunding, and you can have equity-based crowdfunding. So there's different types of crowdfunding. But in order for a crowdfunding campaign to work, you need people. And if 250,000 people are willing to give $25, $5, $10 to build a wall, what are we willing to give to build back our Black communities the way we want them to be? So I turn back over to you, Terrence.
So let me, as we wrap up this part of the presentation, and then we definitely want to open it up for questions and have some dialogue, really. I think we have some time left to actually have a conversation about what people have heard. So anyway, Otis, if you'll take us through some of the strategies that as a group, as a team, we're looking to implement in order to really build a crowd that we feel we need to raise the money to make this a successful project.
Okay, Terry, as you all just heard, crowdfunding is the tool that we're going to be using as a mechanism to raise the capital that we're trying to raise. And as stated, there's different types of crowdfunding, and the types that we'll be using will be the donation-based crowdfunding and the equity-based crowdfunding. And in order for our campaign to be successful, we currently have about 1,200 people on the Restore Eudora Facebook group. And so we got to at least get that number up tenfold. We've got to get it up to at least 12,000 members in that group just to get the numbers up so we have a base to draw from. And the way we're going to do that, we're going to be engaging with the members of the group weekly. We're going to be having these weekly town hall meetings. That's one of the strategies. And mainly, we're going to learn from our mistakes. We're going to challenge ourselves, and we're going to keep progressing toward our common goal of bringing a community-owned grocery store to Eudora. And we're going to align with other Facebook groups that have a builder's mindset and encourage them to participate in our project to get our numbers up also. And at this point, I know each and every one of us should be asking the question, what can we do, or what can I do? And well, I'm glad you asked that question, because what you can do is invite your friends.
You got muted. You got muted, Otis. You got muted.
Otis?
Okay, all right, sorry. Where did I get muted at?
You said
what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Oh, what you should be asking, or the question that we should be asking ourselves is, what can I do to contribute to the success of this project? And what you can do is invite your friends and family, your different acquaintances, and also any other person that might have a builder's mindset or interest in solving our own problems to join our group and contribute to what we're trying to build. Again, we got to get the numbers up to be successful. That's the whole idea behind crowdfunding, is to have a big base to draw from. So we just each individually need to do our part to contribute toward that effort. I turn it back to you, Terry.
But let me chime in there, because I just want to make sure we're understanding how crowdfunding doesn't take or require a lot of you. So let's just say if you take the 1,200 members that you have on Restore Eudora, you take those 1,200 members and they each donate $200. That's $240,000 just from 1,200 members. If you can get it up to 10,000 members, and let's say you get each 10,000, each member to donate $25. That's $250,000. If you get 10,000 members to donate $200, that's $2 million, right? That is an enormous amount of money from very small donation amounts that can go to fund these revitalization projects in communities, right? And this is not a handout from the government. This is not wanting Congress to pass a bill to send us some money this way. This is people, everyday people saying, you know what? We can build our own back up. We can create new Black Wall Streets. And it doesn't take a lot. It just takes a committed group of people that's willing to give what they can to create to bring a vision to pass. All right, I pass it back to you, Terrence.
What I like to do with the time we have left, because I want to be mindful of everyone's time, and man, we really, really do appreciate the people that took time out on their Saturday to join this conversation. And so with that in mind, what I really want us to do is just open things up for a dialogue. I really want to get, I want to have a conversation around what you just heard, and just give some feedback on what you think about the information that was shared.
They sent me 3 pair of 9s, and I don't know why. So I sent the other 9 back.
That's my mom. She need to mute her phone.
8. Since I had already been billed for it.
Okay.
So. And I
what's your mom's? I can mute her if I can.
I don't see her name in there.
They don't come with the toe in. This is a
thank you, Mom.
This is the whole.
All right, I'm gonna just mute everybody so we can unmute yourself when you want to talk. Unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself. Terrence?
I'm not muted, actually.
Okay, yeah. You can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question, make a comment. You can unmute yourself.
Come on, Wonder Bruce.
Why are you trying to call me out, Terry Drew? How? I don't have any.
You got something you could share with the group?
Personally, I could say I do understand crowdfunding. And like you had said, I knew it from the term of GoFunding, but also we have been doing it for years because we care program here when people had needs. That did raise quite a bit of money. So I do know that this will work wonderfully. We do $10 margins and churches give, and we have raised as high as $3,000 to $4,000 in one setting. So it will work.
Absolutely, absolutely. Don't be shy. This is the time to ask questions, to make a comment. This is just the time to let's just have a discussion about it, right? I know that I've had conversations with people about crowdfunding, and they did not really, they didn't know about it other than GoFundMe. Well, GoFundMe is a donation-based crowdfunding source, right? That's just straight donation-based. But there is a whole lot of other crowdfunding platforms out there that are equity-based crowdfunding. Kickstarter, I think, is like a dual. Start Engine, that's for straight equity. There's just a ton of them that people. I'm just gonna call out a few names. Have you ever heard of Republic, Start Engine, Seed Invest, WeFunder, Microventure, Kickstarter, Indiegogo? Right? These are all crowdfunding sources. And all of these entities literally were created from what President Obama put into law in 2012. And that part of it took effect in 2016. And we didn't know about it because we could have been the creator of some of these crowdfunding companies. And we missed that opportunity. And part of why we miss these opportunities is because, you know, I'm going to talk about myself for a second. Terrence, Otis, and Sam, they've heard me, you know, talk about myself, right? I can remember when I first found out about crowdfunding. It shocked me that I did not know. How could I not have been informed about something that could be used to benefit my community, but I didn't know about it. And it was put into law by President Obama, you know? And I had to look myself in the mirror and I had to say, wait a minute, this is not anybody's fault. This is my fault for not knowing. This is my fault for not knowing in 2012 what would have given us 4 years to build a business, to build a platform. But I missed out on that opportunity because I didn't know about it. Terrence missed out on that opportunity. Otis missed out on that opportunity. Derek missed out on an opportunity, right? If I'm not mistaken, and Terrence, you may be able to answer this question better than me. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I don't think any of these platforms that I just named, none of them are owned by African Americans.
You know, Sean, there's one that just got funded here probably within the last year, and it's called Buy the Block.
Okay.
Buy the Block started as a nonprofit, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then they eventually became a platform that deals with real estate.
Okay.
And this platform allows investors from our community to pool their monies together, to go into their communities and literally buy blocks of real estate. And then they have the capital to build out those blocks. It's powerful. They got a Buy the Block in Houston that is building has acquired some property in one of the communities here, and I've raised the money to revitalize that community.
Okay. Now, is it a crowdfunding site or is it just a company?
It's an actual platform.
Actual platform. Okay.
Actually, as a matter of fact, what I'm thinking we may do, because right now, most of the crowd, the fundraising we're going to be doing is going to be on Facebook and within our own website, right? So we haven't yet determined if we're going to actually go out to one of those platforms and do any fundraising or where we're going to do it. We will look at Buy the Block because it primarily has people, they've built a crowd of people from our community that's investing in real estate. So that may be a channel that we eventually plug into.
Hey, Terry,
but it starts with us. What were you about to say, Byron?
I have a question. I guess, Terry, now I'm in the process of completing a lot of stuff that I'm doing. And of course, Terry knows my background has been pretty much in computer programming, developing apps and all that type of stuff, and programming websites and developing. So I guess one of the things I want to ask Terry is what are the things that I probably need to prepare for that you may want me to do that I can kind of just start, in a sense, from the tech perspective for what I need to plan out, what are the goals that you're trying to, do. And I can basically kind of see how I can start planning it out, then discussing that with you, and then seeing, what direction that you want to go with it. Because I think that also one of the issues, especially in the age that we have, is that we don't have Black people who know enough about technology. And one of the reasons why crowdfunding has boomed in the way that it is because of technology.
Well, you better be careful what you're putting on the table with me, because one of the things that I've really thought about, and Tony alluded to it when he was speaking earlier, is that with technology, Byron, we have the ability to provide access to products online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so with outside the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so to even have the ability, I want to explore this with you and see if it's even something we can do. But one of the things I've thought about us being able to do is, even before we open the store up, could we have an online store that people could buy product online? I've been in touch with a CEO of a paper company. I know it. I mean, I'm going to move on this next week because, and I don't know about where everybody else lives, but in Houston, Texas, it was quite difficult. As a matter of fact, I had a friend of mine on the other side of town pick me up enough toilet paper that should last me for the next month. And why did I have to do that? Because I would go into grocery store after grocery store where I live, and every time I would go in there, they didn't have any toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about it. I said, man, you know, if we could be able to distribute paper products online from the Eudora grocery store website, that could be another way that we could generate revenue that would benefit Eudora from people that don't even live there.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's more than capable of doing it. And I have built, like shopping carts basically pretty much from the ground up. And the reason that's necessarily that I had to do it that way is because, people wanted specific things. So I just started doing them building from the ground up. And what that allowed me to do was to basically give you exactly what you need and exactly what you want. And if anything happens, or if we need to improve it or anything like that, then because I created it, I know exactly how to fix it and also maintain it without saying, oh, Terry, that's going to take me a week to do. I can come back and say, Terry, give me a couple hours. I have it up. It's already been programmed. The only thing is going about is pretty much having a detailed plan. Like, for example, is that if you want to do it online, which is not an issue, the question is going to be, is that once they purchase it online, how are we going to get, who's going to get the notifications? How is it going to get to the people?
That's all the logistics of it. But another idea that I want to throw on the table with you, Byron, that we'll come back to, and I'm going to also talk to Derek about it, is there's a big need right now for masks. And the garment factory in Eudora, from what I understand, they have a contract to make the hospital masks. I would like to see if it'd be possible to get an agreement with them to be able to buy masks, not the hospital mask, but the cloth mask, and we also be able to sell those online to generate revenue for the grocery store.
I think anything that, as far as tech, I mean, like I said, anything with me is possible. I can pretty much do anything from a tech standpoint of what you're asking for. As far as like how the payments are going to handle, like to handle all my payment transactions, I use this API called Braintree, and Braintree is PCI compliant, and they pretty much handle all my online payments, and it's different from like PayPal or Square. The good thing about what I like about Braintree, it cuts out the middleman and sends it straight to my bank account.
So Byron, we're gonna work on that because I really think the need for masks is not going to be just during this period. This will happen again.
Right. And
our ability to have the ability to make and distribute those masks for people, I think could be of some value to us. So we'll come back to that. But what I really want to get, if you're still on here, Miss Mayor Butler, I really want to get your thoughts about what you've heard about the project, and really share with the group, if you don't mind, how you think this could really benefit the town to have this grocery store back in Eudora.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hello everyone. This has
Hello.
definitely been a very informative town hall meeting. I am super excited about the idea because it's very disheartening to hear that our people have to go 20 and 30 miles just to go get an onion. I was speaking with a citizen the other day, and she was expressing to me how simple things. She was wanting to make a banana pudding and had to travel 17 miles one way just to get a couple of bananas to make a banana pudding. It's the simple things that we sometimes take for granted and forget about that's really critical to our citizens in the city, especially our elderly citizens, and then those who are immobile. This would definitely be a great asset for the community because we can benefit from, like I think I heard Mr. Sammy saying earlier, this will allow people to buy from our own business owners here in the city. The taxes and the revenue will all be regenerated back in the city. Everyone be able to benefit. And in all actuality, not to talk about anything or anybody, but this is how other people thrive and survive. They buy from their own. They support their own. They put aside differences and make it work for everyone. And when we learn to do that as a people, we can all win. We can definitely all win. It's 2020. It's time for us to do things a little bit different if we're trying to move forward and stay abreast of what's going on. And it's time for everybody to start winning and stop putting each other down so much. It's time to come together because if Corona hadn't taught us that it's time to get closer to our maker and get closer to one another, with the 6 feet of social distancing, of course. But let's get it together and move forward, and we can all win. Everybody can benefit from this. It's not any big eyes or little you. We can all come together.
Thank you, Mayor Butler. We appreciate that.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you, Mayor Butler. I think that it's time for us all to win, but we all have to develop that winner's mindset, right? That ability, that knower within us that we can win. Now, Derek, I think you were about to chime in a little bit earlier. Derek, you want to unmute so you can?
No, what I was just going to say, I was actually, we don't have to, I was going to tell Byron and Terry that we don't have to create a platform for those masks. We can just sell them. I have everything already set up on my website. On my personal website, we can funnel them through there. I can give you guys, weekly or bi-weekly reports, however you want, on the sale of those masks. So we don't even have to recreate the wheel on that. So we'll talk about it offline.
Okay, awesome.
Someone asked a question. Werner Banks asked, who owns the garment factory?
You want to handle that, Sam?
Oh, let me unmute you, Sam. Hold on, Sam. There you go, Sam.
From my knowledge, there's a gentleman out of Florida named Michael Benstock. And he's part owner of that. I was told recently that there was another company that acquired the company from him, but he's still 50% owner of the business.
Yeah, the name of the company is Superior, Verna. If you want to go look up Superior, they're actually a publicly traded company. It's a conglomerate of businesses all combined under one umbrella called Superior.
Okay. The reason I was asking, and I think the reason I was asking is because I was thinking also that instead of going through them, if we could find someone else to make the mask that is not part of the garment factory. That way that the money is going back into the community and back towards the projects that we're looking to fund. So, and I think Kincaid, I don't get your first name, I'm sorry, had answered the question.
Yeah, Verna, the only reason I was thinking the garment factory, because I'm thinking they can mass produce versus having some people just individually try to build, make them.
Yeah.
And I think it would be of some value to have a a relationship with that business in Eudora. I mean, it's the largest employer that's there, and I just think there'll be some value in having a business relationship with them. But,
So yep, I agree with that. I had posted, I think, a couple of weeks ago about them even getting a contract to do the gowns because, you know, I live in New York, and you know that this is kind of epic center for the disease or the virus, and you know, they're running out of everything. And the first thing that came to my mind was the garment factory, and how could we mass produce and get those gowns and masks to places like New York, Louisiana, now Detroit, you know, all those areas that's really being impacted. And that could do, that could generate a lot of resources or funds for Eudora.
Absolutely.
You know, one thing you need to know that they sew and produce the product anymore there. All of that is imported in from other countries. So you'd have to find out how they could go by doing that.
Well, they do embroidery there still, Sam.
Embroidering, yeah, but they don't do the making of the garments, the different types of stuff.
Do we have any seamstress? Do we have any people who can make these? I know I have a cousin in Mississippi that's having his daughters make masks. So is that an opportunity? Somebody on here, know somebody that's on here that knows somebody that could possibly make these things?
My mom was on here, and she's making some masks, but I don't want her to be overburdened with that. But you know, that's just my opinion. I think if we could have a business, that's what they did, and then let's say we start we drumming up a lot of interest for those masks, and we need to mass produce them. That's what that garment factory could do.
Yeah.
So then, if we could get maybe a contract with them, that's something that they're focused on. Can we find someone that could go to them and say,
the garment factory is already producing masks, but I think they are making them for the federal government. I'm not sure on that.
And Mom, I think they're making them for like the hospital masks and not the actual cloth masks. But we'll find that out. We need to find that out.
And Verna had another question on here. She says, is there an interim plan to help the city while we crowdfund for the grocery store?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Because the store has been closed.
I had thought about.
Oh, go ahead, Mom.
The thought came to my mind that if an account was opened up at one of our local banks, and preferably, I would prefer Southern Bancroft, and let it be known to the public that whatever donation they would like to contribute, they could go and deposit it into that account.
So, but Mom, I think if I'm not wrong, Vern, I think what you're asking is there any plan or any kind of strategy that can be implemented in terms of helping people get access to groceries prior to us being able to raise the money to open the store back up?
That's correct. So, and I know you came up with the idea of maybe trying to do something online, but for those who don't have access to technology, what would be a interim plan, something that we could do to help?
The only thing I could think of is if you could have a van or something for people who don't have access to transportation that can't necessarily drive to Lake Village, Oak Grove, Greenville. You know, but maybe I'm thinking maybe they already have that in place, that people can get access to, you know, travel there through people that they know there. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if there's any other way to get groceries in the town other than just going, you know, to the other cities.
But that sounds like that's an opportunity to brainstorm that, because there probably is a solution to that. We just ain't thought about it yet.
Right, and maybe this is Derek speaking. Maybe you can also have like a once or twice a month, every 2 weeks, a farmers market, and just announce a farmers market down there somewhere in the parking lot. So I don't know any local farmers or anything, but that's just an option.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well, because the weather's getting nicer now, so it'll be a great idea to have a covered space. A farmer's market would be excellent.
This girl lives in Texas. She's never been in this area of the
Mom, you ain't. We can hear you, Mom.
I just muted her. Stranger, I know, but I just love people. I love people, Mom. I'm good people.
Gotta love Faye Moore.
Okay, Kathy Jones is on here, and she stated that she is making cloth masks, and she cannot keep up with the order. And she made a point that, and I agree with Kathy, and Kathy, I want you to chime in, that it would be beneficial if a company made the mask. So this is what I love about what we're doing right now. What we're doing now is called a mastermind, right? We're putting our minds together and we're thinking of solutions to possible problems. And Kathy Jones make a very good point, right? Right now, masks are in high demand, right? And people are making masks. So this is another potential business idea for someone or for all of us or for whoever, right? And for Kathy, because Kathy is already doing it, right? To make it a bigger than what we're doing right now, on the level that we're doing it right now. So Kathy, why don't you talk to us about what you're doing? Kathy? Okay, she said.
Gotta get unmuted.
Kathy? No, that's not Kathy. Kathy?
Hello?
Okay,
Yeah,
I hear you.
We can hear you now.
This is Kathy.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been making up to 30 and 40 masks a day, and I can't keep up with the demand of them. I've been wanting to give it up, but people keep calling and asking me for them. I do the double-sided cloth with the interfacing in them.
Yeah.
And the demand is great. Yeah.
I
sell them for like $6.
I see opportunity. I really do. I see that this could be something that could really be a beneficial project for the group.
Okay, so y'all look, we can't.
And it's time consuming for one person.
So are there other people that would be interested in learning how to do this, so that, and we could pay them some small fee for, depending on the number of masks they make, like, to help you out, Kathy? Do you know of anyone else interested in doing this?
Probably so.
Hey, let's do this. Let's.
Because I did it on a whim. Let me tell you how I started.
Okay, wait a minute, Kathy, before you tell us, Kathy, before you go into your secrets, let me end the recording, right? And then we can, because we've been going for almost 2 hours, and for the most part, everybody has stayed on the call, and so few people are beginning to drop off because we're hitting that 2 hour mark. And then whoever wants to remain on, we can just keep talking. But let's just end the recording. I want to thank everyone who participated in this town hall. I think that this is the beginning of something great. It's already great to have 25 people on a call and brainstorm and talk about something that maybe we didn't know about and to learn more. That's always a great thing. So I want to thank each of you for participating, and we're going to stop the recording in just a second. Thank you, and happy Saturday. Happy Saturday.